Action.
Action.
Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
My son was a fun-loving person. He was smart. He was funny. He was good-looking. I knew he was popular, but I had no idea he was such a legend. And that's what they've called him, a legend. It makes me proud because he grew up to be the kind of man that you would want your son to become. He was born in Los Angeles at UCLA Medical Center. He was a fearless kid. I remember one of the first times he went to the beach. He was just a toddler, and I think he was still in diapers actually, and he just took off. He never looked back to see, where his mom was. He just took off down the beach, and I ended up having to chase him. He was a free spirit from day one. That was a clue as to how he was going to grow up. When he started surfing in junior high school, he would ride the beach bus from the San Fernando Valley where we lived all the way to Malibu. And I didn't even know he was doing that. I didn't even know there was a beach bus. That's what they did. They grabbed their boards and hopped on the bus. He was very creative. He could draw, he could paint. We got him a drum set when he was about 3, and he banged on that thing so hard he put a hole in the drum. But then, when he grew up, he was a drummer. He had a band.
My homeboy Randy keeps the beat so sweet like it was candy. How can it be? 87.
That's what touches me the most now is when people tell me how kind he was and how he encouraged so many people and how welcoming he was. I mean, he apparently had an open door policy at his home. They were welcome to come in as long as they didn't let the cat out. Like I said, it was a lifestyle for him. I've talked to so many of his friends that I didn't even know before who've told me that, they just enjoyed being with him so much. I'm kind of left speechless at times. He far exceeded my expectations because I think he just became bigger than life. And I don't know if too many parents can say that about their children. He'd been through many actually fires. He'd lived in that house for over 30 years. He'd been through a lot of fires. He always said, I've got a garden hose. He said, I can always hose down the house. That was his plan during the Palisades fire. In fact, he called me that day. The fire started about 10:30 in the morning. He said that he wanted me to pray for the Palisades and for Malibu because of the fires that were coming. And I talked to him, over the phone, and I said, grab your cat and go to a shelter. He said, I'm not leaving. He said, I'm going to stay. And I said, well, I really think that you should go. The detectives told me that this fire was moving at the rate of 5 football fields a minute. And the embers from the fire were being blown like 3 miles ahead of the fire. So, and his house was practically entirely made out of wood. And it was 101 years old. So it was just kind of like a tinderbox. I'd been through these with him before, and, I was texting him like I always did. That was around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the last time I talked to him. Tuesday was the day the fire started. Wednesday night, I was up really late looking at the CAL FIRE map. I was trying to find the footprint of his house on the map because I wanted to see where he was relative to the fire. Late Wednesday night, I saw that the fire was superimposed over the map so that you could see exactly where the house was in relation to the fire, his home being within the perimeter. So it didn't look good. Didn't look good at all. Thursday morning, I got a phone call from one of his friends because she felt that something was really wrong. Nobody was, making contact with him. I mean, he has hundreds of friends, but nobody could.
It's been 2 days.
Yeah, and nobody could get in touch with him. And then the cousin called the sheriff's department and asked them to do a welfare check. Reluctantly, they went out on Wednesday night. Probably at the same time I was up looking at the Cal Fire map. Thursday morning, the friend in San Diego called me because she said that as we were speaking, the coroners were on site and they were removing the remains, and at that point everybody knew it was Randy because his roommates were accounted for. And I was in disbelief for quite a long time, and there's still a part of me that doesn't accept the fact that he's gone and he's never coming back. He did not want to die. I think that he got trapped. I think that he thought this fire was going to be like all the ones before. He didn't take it as seriously as he should have. They found him outside of his home, right out the back door. I think he tried to escape and just found that he couldn't. I was the one that he always called. He always said, "I just needed to hear your voice," and he said, "You can always, cheer me up." He'd say, "You're the strongest woman I know." And he said, "I love you so much. I wish that I'd been a little more forceful, maybe." But he was 55 years old. He was a grown man, and he made his own decisions, and he was the last part of my family. And I only had one child, so I'm it. And I'm the only one that's capable of doing all of this. And I mean, I've had a lot of help, and I know that God's had his hand in all of this, and I think that's where I'm getting my strength, because I can't explain it. Every one of them. I mean, I've worked with Colonel Sauzer, who left last week. When I came out on February 22nd, he was there. Everybody has been there.
The Corps of Engineers is committed to honoring the memory of Randy and the 29 others who lost their life in the fires by helping this community rebuild.
And it's just a blessing, something, that I was working towards and praying about as well as a lot of other people. I think everything that I've had to do has been, helping me come to grips with, the reality of it all. When you have to proofread a death certificate that's got your child's name on it, it's not an easy thing to do. His dad and I are now going to be inheriting that property, sell it and take the money and maybe, start some kind of a Malibu Surf Legend of the Year, and they want to make Randy the first one. I don't know how people go through this kind of a tragedy without having some hope that they're going to be reunited with their loved one someday. I believe there's a heaven, and I believe Randy's there, and I believe that someday I'm going to be with him again. But without hope, I don't know how people get through things like this. I just don't know how. I don't worry now. It's like, I don't know. It's just that I know that everything's going to fall into place. And it has so far. Why shouldn't it continue? He never wanted to leave Malibu, ever. And he didn't. I mean, he lived and he died in his home, and that's where I'm sure that's where he would have wanted to be. I have to do it for him. I mean, like he said, you're the strongest woman I know. So, I have to live up to that for his benefit.
Amazing. That was amazing.
See, that was great.
Oh, well,
That
thank
was so good.
thank you.
It wasn't too long.
Tired.